You are not an accident. You were formed on purpose, and you were formed with the intention that over time you would transform, but you were never formed with the intention that you should conform. And your family was designed to play a big part in supporting all of that. And even if yours didn't, by the time you finish this video, you will know how your family can shape your children to become the best version of themselves instead of carbon copies of everyone else. Hi, I'm Vanessa, and you're in the right place if you know that being a mother has never been easy, but it's also never been harder than it is today. And you're up for some real talk about how we can make this whole motherhood thing easier, considering the days and times that we live in. And we have been talking, if you're new, welcome. There's been a conversation that's been going on about the importance of family, how you build one rather than just thinking that it sort of magically comes together on its own, what things you need to consider before, during, and ongoing. And today we're going to talk about 4 elements that are key that families provide, healthy families provide, that really set children up to become adults who thrive and enjoy good success. And what's important about this conversation is we're living in a day and time where family has been looked down upon. And when I say family, I mean the nuclear family, mother, father, children, maybe grandparents. If, there are a lot of families where grandparents are now also living with their children and grandchildren. But that dynamic has now sort of been minimized, and all the things that typically happen in a family environment, people are trying to outsource that and outsource it to online experiences and social media and peer groups and all the things. And that's not really working because, as I've talked about before, every society is built by the families that are in them. And so, whatever is happening in a family is eventually going to show up in the society, in the community that that family is a part of. And the more families that are spiraling down, the more the society that they're in will spiral down because there really is nothing else that you can plug in and play in place of a family. If you're enjoying the content, this would be a great time to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Okay, let's get back to the video. Families have always been, and they will always be necessary because they are the base unit, the building block of civilization, no matter where you are in the world. So we want our children to be set up for success. We want them to do well. It's up to us as moms, it's up to us as parents to set them up for that the best that we can. We've already talked about that we can't do all the things. If you've seen the previous video, you know who the missing link is. If you have been distraught and frustrated and losing your mind raising your children, there's probably someone you have not consulted. And if you didn't see that video, I encourage you to go see that one. But today we are talking about the things that are unique to families and the family structure and the family dynamics that if they are missing, you may have felt the repercussions. You may feel and notice in your own life as I go through them that, oh, I didn't have these things growing up. And that might explain why I've had trouble in X, Y, and Z areas. But we don't have to worry about that. We're going to let you know what they are so that you can, where need be, give those things to yourself now that you're an adult, if there's still things you haven't gotten piecemeal from other places, but that you're also in a position to set your children up to have these things and go even further than you did because they've been set up for success. So, what are the 4 things? The first one I want to talk about is a family lets a child know what they are capable of. So, capability. That speaks to letting your child know what you see that's possible for them. And the reason that you're able to say it is because you're the one with them most of the time. Even if you have them in daycare, even if, regardless of the situation, you're at least the one responsible for them. And part of your responsibility as having this child that you are caring for and raising is to notice them and notice what you notice about them. What are the tendencies. What do they tend to do? What do they tend to like to do? What do they tend to say? What do they tend to find joy in? And making note of that. What talents do you see that they have? And why we're looking at it is because we want to call those things out. We want to make them aware. One of the things that I've experienced personally is somebody will compliment me about something and I'll minimize it. Somebody will say, "You're one of, you're pretty wise." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And then when they say what I said, I'm thinking, "That's not unusual. Like anybody would say that." And you're like, "No, anybody doesn't say that." But because I say that and because it's familiar to me, I think it's common. And it's only when someone else calls it out that I'm made aware that, oh, that's unique to me. And it's something that people are enjoying. And so it's something I can lean into. It's something I can do more of or pay more attention to or develop so that it can bless more people. It can bless me. Um, because of whatever, of connections made or jobs it gets me, that kind of thing. And it's the same thing with your children. They don't know. They come here, they're born, they need to be cared for, they need to be encouraged, they need to be spoken into, they need things labeled for them. They don't know what things are called. Everything needs to be explained to them. And part of what a family does, and particularly the parents in the family, is they have the language and they have the ability to notice what they're seeing in their child and they call it out. And then once you know what it's called, then you know to look for it and then you know how to speak about it to other people. That's how we teach our children language. But it's also giving them language concerning who they are. And you do that because you're observing them, you're noticing the things that are unique to them, um, or that are particularly delightful or helpful or impactful, and you name them, you specify it, you call it out, so that they're now aware. Um, when I think of our oldest, I have three children. The oldest is our creative in every sense of the word. But the first inkling we had that he was creative was the drumming on everything, and he loved a beat, and he could feel it, he would feel it, and he would move from the time he was an infant. And so come his first birthday, we got him a little kid drum set. He went through a few drum sets. The way he was beating those drums, and those little 1-year-old drums, they're not really meant for kids who really are trying to play. They're sort of cute, and he was really trying to play. And he loved those drums. To this day, he not only plays drums, he plays guitar. All of this is self taught. He writes scripts. He, puts together storylines, and whether it's for actual short stories or whether it's writing movies, the dude is a creative. But we noticed that early on and we called it out. We would say all the time, "Man, you really love to drum. You're really a great drummer. You really have an ear for music. You really know how to, you know." Right now, he's a singer. He's a performer, and he produces his own music. He has an ear for music, and he loves it in all of the forms. But that is not surprising to us because we have noticed from the beginning that that was his tendency, that was his talent. And not only did we call it out, we supplied tools so that he could develop, so that he could increase his capability, so he could do more of what we already saw that he was wired to do. That's what a family allows, affords, gives a child. I not only see what you have a knack for, to the best of my ability, I'm going to fund it or I'm going to position you around people who will fund it. But the whole reason I even know what you're capable of is because I'm observing you. And so um, now that goes two ways. I tell you what happens if you don't call it out. Hey there, Mama Bear. Have you noticed how hard it is for your family to get along these days? If they're not ignoring each other, then they're yelling at each other. And as the youngest in a blended family, more thrown together than blended, I know how angry attitudes ruin family relationships. So if you're tired of the awkward tension, of the constant misunderstandings, and the full blown arguments in your home, then I highly recommend the Communication Quick Fix. In just a few days, you will learn the skills that turn chaos into connection and keep you calm in any conversation. You can scan the QR code on your screen or you can click the link in the description. I look forward to working with you. Now let's get back to the video. If you're not calling it out at home and your children are just going out there and they are only susceptible to what other people want to call out about them, because, your silence doesn't mean everybody's silent. If you don't say something, somebody else will, and what they say may or may not be true. And because you're not saying anything, your child is left to give weight to words of people who will say something. So here's what happened to me in high school. Now, I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx to be exact. And I grew up there. I'm the daughter of immigrants from the West Indies, the Caribbean. And I went to Catholic school. And, it was that time of year, junior year. We're talking about the schools I'm looking into, what my plans are, so on and so forth. Catholic school, my guidance counselor is a nun. So I go to meet with her and she asked me what I plan on doing. And I said, I plan on being a pediatrician. And she was so confused because she in her mind thought that I could not do that, and instead of talking to me about the colleges on my list, she she suggested that I go into the military. There's nothing wrong with the military. My husband is a retired military officer. I got no problem with the military. I'm a military wife. um, the problem was that I came talking to her about becoming a pediatrician. I had been saying that since I was 6 years old. And instead of looking at my grades, looking at how I was a completely A student, I clearly had done the work to prepare myself for the track that I was talking about. Instead of talking about that, she, looking at me and thinking whatever she thought about me based on whatever, tried to tell me what she thought I was capable of. Now, if I hadn't already known my capability, I probably or may have given more weight to her words than I did. I gave no weight to her words. And it's not because my parents told me that I could be a doctor. In fact, they didn't know. Because I mean, I'm the first doctor in my family, so they didn't really know what it required. And they were just like, I don't know. I mean, we are immigrants and we've come here and we've made a great life for ourselves and we can afford to send you to Catholic school, but I don't know if you can do all of that. It was that kind of thing. But the reason that I knew I had the capability to do it is literally because my parents were immigrants. It's because I observed my family and I saw what they did, where they came from, what they came here with, what they made for themselves in this country, from what they had and from where they came from. And so, in my mind, if if I think it and if I move toward it, of course I can do it. I didn't need anyone to tell me that. It was literally the family I was in and what I observed about them that informed my capability. And so I say that to say that there are things caught and there are things taught. It is best that you say to your children what you see in them. But even if you have missed the mark, I pray your children are observant enough for themselves to see what is around them in the family that they've been given, to see what they see in you, and to draw from that and then decide what they can do. But yeah, if you don't speak up, somebody else will. And if your children are susceptible to whatever that person believes, it could shortchange the actual trajectory of their lives and the purpose that they're here for, the things that have already been destined for them. If the wrong person is saying the wrong thing, because the right person um, needs to be saying what they see, and you are the ones invested in them enough to care and to want to see them do well and to see them do the best that they can. And part of that is calling out what you see. So, the first thing we talked about, I'm looking at my notes. You see me looking down. The first thing we talked about is family lets children know what they are capable of. Family also increases a child's capacity. Capacity for what? Capacity to recognize that everything is not about them, that they are not the only person in this family, they are not the only person in the world, and the way that we live together in this family as peaceably as we can with each other, in a way that prepares the children to go out as adults, or even as children to go out amongst other people and do the same, is we have to start at home, in the first community that a child ever has. Think about that. The first community that you were ever a part of is your family. Before you joined a team, before you joined a club, before you joined an organization, you are first and were first part of your family. So, family is the first place where you learn how to get over yourself, how to consider other people other than yourself, and what that looks like. And it looks like caring. It looks like, you know, a toddler seeing that somebody dropped something and they just go and pick it up if they can, if it's something light enough, and they go pick it up and they go here and they give it back to the person. It's amplifying that natural tendency. It's amplifying that. um, how can the people in the family help each other just have a better day, have a better experience? How can I be of assistance to you? What is it that you need? Can you go grab such and such off the counter? I can't get to it right now. Sure. And you're doing the same for them. And so you are modeling that kind of care from their birth. I mean, the only reason that they're able to flourish, a baby is able to flourish, is because someone is caring for them. They cannot care for themselves. And to the degree that you care for them, and to the degree that you point out the importance of caring, they will do likewise. They are receiving, and out of the abundance of care that you are giving them, they are giving care to other people. But it's something that needs to be fostered, it's something that needs to be encouraged, it's something that needs to be taught and reinforced. And you call it out of them, and you teach them to care about other people, so that even when they go through their me, my, I want phase, part of the correction, part of the teaching, part of the discipline is to say, I understand that you want that, but so and so wants this. They want it really bad too. So, what can we do so that maybe you have a turn and then they have a turn? So, even in your parenting, you are building in the understanding that we care for each other here. We care about each other and we care for each other. And two other points to that are teaching compassion. Teaching compassion. Compassion for some people is natural. My daughter is a naturally compassionate person. She, we did this for some time. She needed, and she asked if I would help her put together just care packages, socks, um, peanut butter crackers, or maybe the cheese crackers, with the cheese filling in between them. I forget the other things we put in there, but she wanted to make the package, and she wanted to have several of them in the car so that the next time we passed homeless people, she could give them that. She didn't have money to give them, but she wanted to give them something because she hated to see them suffering, and she had compassion for them. And so she wanted to give them something. She wanted them to know that somebody cared, somebody saw them, saw the situation that they were in, and wants them to do better and have more. And this is the best I can do. And so here, have this. And other thing was gloves in the winter. I bought some gloves and put them in the packages. So they had socks, they had gloves, and some snacks. But she's just that way. She's a compassionate person. But everyone is not naturally compassionate. It's something that needs to be taught. It's a quality you would need to have in order to teach it. But it's the idea that um, you see somebody sad and you care. You see somebody had a challenging experience, and when you hear about it, or when it's in your circle and you become aware of it, you express concern. You mourn with those who are mourning. Um, you ask, is there anything I can do? Can I help? Maybe it's just the fact that you sit with them, or they're crying and you cry with them. But letting your children see that part of caring for people and how you care for each other in your family is you have compassion. Somebody comes in and they said, I had the worst day, and they tell you what happened. It's kind of whack to just be like, whatever, or I had a bad day too. Okay, well, teaching them compassion says, oh, wow, I'm really sorry that happened to you. Tell me what else happened. What happened after that? What did you end up doing? And then when you sow that seed, then they turn around and they say, how was your day? And then you can tell them, well, this is what happened. And you offer each other compassion and they learn to do that. Because let me tell you, they're going to have other relationships. And if and when they have their own families, that spouse that they have, they won't go very far with that spouse if they're not able to be compassionate, if they're not able to recognize, read the room, read people's facial expressions, and see, oh, something is going on, and caring enough to say, hey, what's going on with you? You may not do it for every stranger you see, but you should at least do it at home. It should at least happen in the family so that when they're in other relationships with other people that mean something to them, they practice what they have been practicing at home. It's also knowing when to celebrate with people, right? We celebrate each other's wins. In a family, everybody should be celebrating each other's wins. It's not the place for jealousy, it's not the place for envy. It's the place for celebrating each other's wins, celebrating each other's gifts and talents. Yes, your brother is good at this and you are not, but you are good at this. And so you can celebrate what he is good at and he can celebrate what you're good at. Okay, we if you're on us if your kids are on sports teams, then we're all going to the game, unless there's a conflict and two kids are having games at the same time. No, we're all going to each other's games, and we're all going to celebrate how you're doing in the game. And if you did not do well in the game, then we're going to have compassion and encourage you. These are where you learn how to increase your capacity, your bandwidth, so that in your dealings with people, you are a blessing. You don't come across as a buster who's just self absorbed and it's all about you and you don't notice anything about anyone else. And if you do, you don't have anything helpful to say about it. No, in a family, you learn by nature of the fact that there's more people in this family than you, that you are interacting with day in and day out, moving through a home with. You have to come in contact with them and you have to consider them. I know it's getting harder to do that now because everybody wants to be in their own room, staring into a phone, looking at people talking about things that don't even concern them and doesn't really help them in their life. And we're so disconnected that it is harder and it takes more intention. It takes more effort to get people to look each other in the eye, to get people to gather around a table and notice what's happening to each other, to ask each other about their day. How did you sleep last night? What was your win today? What was whack today? Um, to really get to know each other and to show concern for each other, that gets harder to do with all the technology we have, but family is still where that is more likely to happen. Because people are out walking now. We are walking around looking at our phone. We're not looking up. We're not even looking where we're walking. We are just walking around looking at phones. And so, where are people going to have the type of interactions with other people that have meaning, where we are encouraged to care about what's happening with other people? Not so much that we can fix everything, but even showing the concern goes a long way in helping people not feel so isolated and helping people feel like they are seen, that they matter. And that's something that happens in a home. And it blesses the people there and it blesses the people that the people in that home, in that family, and come in contact with when they're out and about. So we talked about capability, we talked about capacity. A family also helps you navigate your course in life. The way that you do life, the path that you're on, because like I said at the beginning, you were formed, you were formed on purpose for a purpose with the idea that you would transform over time so that you could fulfill what you're here for, but not to conform and to be like everyone else. But what is that path? What is that way of life? The reality is that there is right and wrong. There is a right way and there is a wrong way. And I tell you how you know that. Because you can watch two 15-month-olds sitting on the floor with a bunch of toys. And if one has been playing with a toy and the other one reaches over and takes that toy out of their hand. The child who had the toy taken is giving that child a very confused look, may start screaming. Because the reality is that little child knows that was not right. I had it. I was playing with it. You just came and took it. You didn't ask for it. You didn't even, I mean, you just took it. And that's not right. And we come knowing that. And it's in a family where that is fleshed out more, that is developed, that understanding is developed. What is the right way to approach life? What is the wrong way? And who or what is that based on? Everybody has to decide that for themselves at some point. In our family, as believers in Jesus Christ, we base our way of life on Him. We base our way of life on His Word. We base our way of life on how we see Him moving in the time that He was here on earth and how we see Him moving throughout the entirety of time. How we see Him conducting Himself is how we want to conduct ourselves because of His life in us. And so that's the foundation for us about how we do, um, how we approach life. And that is what we have taught our children. That is the way that we have raised them to believe that they should walk. And so there is a right and a wrong way to do life. Um, we know that because police let us know that. They are the ones enforcing the laws that are based on what is right and what is wrong. But we don't want to have our children have to rely on their encounters with the law before they know what is right or wrong, and rules and regulations and those kinds of things. We want our family and the relationships in our family to be what guides their development in terms of, okay, this is the way that I do stuff, right? Children who are not raised to understand that there's a certain way that you talk to people that is more likely to get the result that you're looking for, get them to listen, get them to care about what you're talking about, get them to do something about whatever your problem is, that there's a better way to talk to them than if you come up to them and you're demanding and you're entitled and you're having a fit. Like in a family, that's how you learn, okay, there's a better way to do that. And consequently, you're not becoming an adult going into your boss's office thinking that you are supposed to have this and I better have it now and making these demands. You understand because you have been in relationships and you have been in them first and foremost in your family. You understand that there is a way, there is a right way to do things. And then their path is also about preparing, we're getting our children ready for life as adults. I think sometimes we forget as parents and we get so caught up in the day in and day out and the hustle and bustle of parenting. And I gotta grocery shop. I gotta try to cook a meal here and there. If not, I gotta run and pick up something through the drive through, and then we gotta run to the game. Like we get so caught up in the today of it all that we don't understand that we are raising them to become adults. Like we are raising them with the understanding that one day they will go and they will start their own household, they may marry, they may have their own family, and we need to prepare them to function, to be fully functional as best we can so that they have a job and they're able to maintain it. They have a spouse and they're able to, have healthy relationships because they know how to care and they have compassion and they know how to celebrate. Like there's a goal here, and sometimes we don't parent with the goal in mind. We parent sort of in a survival mode, which does our children a disservice because then they get to the age where people are expecting them to have certain abilities and they don't because they have been completely sheltered or they have not been taught. And so now this person who is has hired them and needs them to do a job has to now teach them simple things that they could have learned at home, which puts the child in a position to where, okay, I'm actually now not a blessing. I'm actually a burden and I'm actually in danger of being fired because I just wasn't even equipped with the basic things I need to be able to fulfill this job. And so we are getting our children ready to prosper. We're getting our children ready to be successful. A lot of that is just even practical preparation. Teaching your child how to cook. They ought to know how to cook some simple meals so that when they're out on their own, they don't have to Uber eat everything, because Uber eating everything now depletes their finances, and we want them to be financially fit. So that's another thing. Teaching them basic budgeting and finance skills and how to manage your money and how to manage your time. Have to learn that I have all these things that are possible for me to do. I do have a test tomorrow, but my friend just called and talked about let's go watch a movie. Well, I'm not fully prepared for this test. And so the best use of my time is to tell her no and prepare for this test. A lot of kids aren't even taught that. They're not taught that. And so they're just making decisions, and then when they get a result that somebody is not pleased with, they're just like, "Well, I don't know. I just thought." And what it really comes down to is we're assuming that they know how to make these decisions because they're a certain age, but they have to be taught. They have to be taught. Children really are like wet cement, but there does come a time when the cement hardens and it just is what it is. But in the time that it's wet and in the time that we can put our imprints, we can put our hands on them and let them know, no, this is the way. Walk this way. I see you're going this way. If you continue going this way, you're going to get into X, Y, and Z situations. Those things are possible. If you continue walking with that person, you can end up in these situations. No, walk this way. Walk with these people. They're wise, and you will also become wise because you are a reflection of the company that you keep. So we are not just letting kids be to themselves and their own devices. This is not Burger King. This is not have it your way. There is a way that is best for them to walk in their daily paths for their own lives and the things that they are excited about doing here, and about the people that they're doing life with, and who are the people who will most sharpen them, and bring the best out of them, and who are the people who are, you know, going to be setbacks if they continue in that direction. So we've talked about capability, we've talked about capacity, we've talked about their course, their path in life. And the last one, the fourth element, the fourth, and we've been talking about family in terms of a house, and there's different shape and size houses, but at the end of the day, houses have four corners, and these elements are like the four corners of a family. In the same way, the four corners of a house have to be strong, have to be reinforced in order for the house to maintain their structure. These four elements help a child to maintain their structure so they not only can stand up, but they stand out. What makes them stand out? The fourth C, character. Character is what makes you stand out from other people. It's the things that you are known for that other people are not, or very few people are. It can be, part of it can be because of your family's name, what your family is known for. There are some families, especially if they're wealthy or they're famous for some other reason, you know what they're known for. There's all talk about Nepo babies in acting because there are actors who have had children and now these children are actors. And when you hear the last name, you're like, oh, that must be so and so's child. Oh, now they're an actor too, because there's a renown that goes with the name. They're known for something, and now this child is known for it. But it's the same way in character. There are some people whose family name, when you say it, they are known for things that are nefarious. They are known for things that are famous in not a good way. And then there are other names that are known for philanthropy. They're known in media. They're known in politics. As soon as you say the Kennedys, you're just thinking of you're thinking of Robert, you're thinking of John F. Kennedy. You're thinking of a certain family because that family name has a character with it that goes with public service. They are public servants. Um, so sometimes it's your name, and sometimes the family name, like I said, is something that you might want to disassociate with because it's known for something that you don't want to be a part of now. So part of the character that you develop or that you pass on to your children might have to do with what your family is known for. But character is also literally the qualities of that child. the ways that people experience them, and they can experience it with such consistency that they are now known for that. Are you teaching your child to be honest, to be trustworthy, to start something and finish it, especially if they gave their word that they would? Is your child persistent? Is your child polite? Is your child kind? These are qualities, these are character qualities that you as a parent get to shape in your children. You set the tone and the standard. Obviously, you can't require of them qualities that you yourself don't have. But if you are displaying them, and then you are also calling out those qualities and saying, no, you lied to me. And we don't do that in this family. We tell each other the truth. Because if we can't tell each other the truth, we cannot trust each other. And if we can't trust each other, then what good are we to each other? And so if you're going to have a good relationship with the people in this family, you're going to just have to tell the truth, even if you're afraid of ABC, whatever they're afraid of. You teach them that truth, that honesty is a character trait that we highly value. And not only us, when you go out into the world, people want to be able to ask you a question and know that your answer is the answer. If they have to question that, they don't want to be bothered with you because they don't have to be bothered with you. These are character qualities that set your children up to be successful because when people are interacting with them, they find them to be one way. I understand another set of circumstances, they're still the same way. Then they tell a friend, oh, you can do business with him because I find him to be honest. I find him to be on time. He does great work. He's a hard worker. He finishes what he starts. Great customer service. If something's not right, he'll circle back and fix it. These are character traits that are instilled at home. They are reinforced at home. Even if your child tends to have a few of these naturally, at home is where they are cultivated and celebrated and highlighted as positive attributes so that your child knows this is what people find important. A son of mine just finished an internship this summer, and he came in, he was hired at one level, but then some things happened with staffing, and people had to be let go, or people could not work, and so on and so forth. And because of the way he had been carrying himself at the role he had, he was the first person that they thought of when they needed to fill in a role at a higher level. And because of his work ethic, because of his easygoing way, he's easy to work with. He's patient. There were these qualities that they noticed in him, and he was the perfect person to move up into this other position. But those are qualities that he developed at home. These aren't things you can't just turn them on and turn them off. Who you are day in and day out is something that is cultivated, or otherwise you can't keep it up. If you are just playing a role just to try to get a job, after a while they'll know that that's not really who you are because you'll slip. Because the easiest thing to be is yourself. And so, in a family is where the children grow up to not only discover what their natural talents and abilities are and where that can be developed, where their capacity to care about people other than themselves can be developed, but also to figure out, hey, what is the best path for me? Not only, generally, like the best way of doing life, but specifically, like, what am I here for? And what's the best way of me being prepared for that? Family does that too. But family also develops the character so that as your child is on their path in life and as they are doing the things that they are gifted to do, they have the character that enables them to hold on to that. They're not their own worst enemy, where they have a talent but they don't have any discipline, they don't have any work ethic, so they don't develop the talent, and then the talent is dormant or it never improves. You have instilled in them the sort of character that causes them to flourish and to continue to transform and to become the better and better and best versions of themselves. And it's because you're not sending them to rely on the culture and whatever people on a TikTok want to tell them is the way to do something. Their world first started at home. That's the first place where they conceptualized, where they considered, and how they view the world was first shaped at home. And then it's modified as they do life, right? You come across other people and other things, and they have a perspective that can add to what you already know. But no one outside of home should be developing and shaping the child that you gave birth to or that you adopted. They are entrusted to you. And so they are the cement in your hands. And your handprints should be on them, not to make them be like you or to make them be whatever you want them to be, but to shape them into being the best version of who God made them to be and to equip them so they could flourish being exactly that. I would love to hear your comments. I appreciate you joining me. And I want you to remember that when it comes to you being the mother of your children, you are the woman for the job. Take care.